Hi friends, it's Rabbi Briskin with a thought for Shabbat. And I sometimes get the question, Rabbi, why does a temple always ask us for money? Now a simple answer is, because the Torah says so. Yes, the Torah speaks both of mandatory contributions and free will offerings in different places. However, this Shabbat is the only time when both forms of tzedakah, righteous giving, are found in the same portion. You see, this Shabbat is also known as Shabbat Shekalim, from the word shekel, currency. In addition to reading from the weekly portion called Vayakhel, we also read a few verses from last week's portion, Ki Tisa. And these different verses speak to the complementary values of mandatory and voluntary offerings, both of which are taught this week. Parshat Vayakhel describes the voluntary offerings that the Israelites donated to the mishkan, the desert sanctuary. Everyone who excelled in ability, the text says, and everyone whose spirit was moved, came and brought an offering to help support the work of the mishkan. In fact, the people brought so much that Moses eventually had to say, "We have enough. Stop bringing." And friends, this was the first and only time in recorded history that a Jewish leader has ever said, "Stop donating." Now, in all seriousness, the generosity of the Israelites was legendary, not unlike a first generation of synagogue members who go above and beyond to help build the synagogue's first structure. However, at the end of this week's Torah reading, the Maftir, the concluding verses, return to last week's portion to remind us that every Israelite who is entered into the records shall pay a half shekel. It's like the membership rolls of a synagogue. The rich shall not pay more, nor shall the poor pay less, the text reminds us. Everyone pays the same. And these funds, this mandatory half shekel contribution, also supports the work of the mishkan. Shabbat Shekalim, which we observe this week, reminds us of the importance of both an annual commitment to the synagogue, often called dues, as well as the voluntary contributions above and beyond that so many of you make to support the vital work of Shir Mi. A lesson from our Torah and our tradition teaches, Im ein kemach ein Torah, ve'ein Torah ein kemach. Without wheat there is no Torah, and without Torah there is no wheat. This teaches that physical sustenance and spiritual sustenance are dependent on one another. Wheat is also a metaphor for money. Without the dough, so to speak, that supports our congregation, we cannot provide Torah. And without Torah, we wouldn't be Shir Mi. Shabbat Shekalim provides a nice opportunity for me to say thank you to all of you on behalf of the staff and leadership of Shir Mi for supporting us through your half shekel. Okay, I know that it's much more than a half shekel donation, which is membership dues, and the gifts that come from the heart. Additional contributions that support the Circle of Giving campaign, the food bank, our Teen Israel trip, and so much more. Now, unlike Moses, I don't plan to say we have enough anytime soon, but I will always be grateful for your ongoing support of Shir Mi. So friends, may the spirit of generosity always be upon us as we continue to support this congregation and other organizations that bring so much meaning to our lives. Wishing all of you a Shabbat Shalom.